So my name is Taylor Robertson. I've had the honor to be here at Watershed since the beginning, and one of the things that I love about Watershed is the passion for the wholesome self, right? So many places when it comes to mental health, whether here locally or nationally, even around the globe, um, you'll find that it's they're so quick to prescribe a medication or to try this experimental thing or this experimental thing. But here at Watershed, we're very focused on the wholesome person, whatever that means to that particular client, and that allows us this freedom, creative freedom, if you will, this opportunity to really take a look at someone's life through the first initial, conversations and appointments, and to really find out who they are, what their backgrounds are, and then ultimately being able to come up with a practical treatment plan that allows us to take next steps, to execute on those practical steps so that they can find whatever the relief is that they're looking for. A lot of people here, they come to Watershed and they arrive desperate, um, hopeless in some ways, anxious, worried. And the reason they're coming to us is because they're seeking guidance, they're seeking help, they're seeking relief. And as counselors, we have the opportunity to bring that to them. One thing that I often say with the clients on our first initial visit is, um, my hope and my prayer is that you're not sitting on these couches looking for us to answer, all of your problems, to solve all of your problems. Our job as counselors isn't to solve problems. Our job is to lead and counsel you to find the solutions to those worries, to those anxieties. And so my job really as a counselor is to lead you to a place of self-revelation, a place of self-realization, knowing that, okay, these are tangible, practical steps we can take to, work through anxiety or to work through worry or depression, PTSD. I really enjoy that. I love that we're not quick to prescribe a medication. We're not quick to refer you to somewhere else. We're going to really take the time. And I don't speak just on my behalf, but on the behalf of really all the counselors here. We take the time, we listen, we take into consideration, and then we come up with the proper steps, and then we walk through those steps with you. I've been here at Watershed since the beginning, but I also have a practice within our local ministry at our church as well. I've been doing that for a little more than 2 years. My background, my undergrad is in biblical studies, but my master's and my doctorate are also in Christian counseling and psychology. So, I began that program back before COVID, mostly because I had a passion to understand people who were walking through worry, people who were walking through troublesome seasons of their life. I come from a background that my mom was an addict, and praise God, she's been clean for several years now, and we do, it's very praiseworthy. We think about that daily. But I had a passion pre-COVID to understand people like my mom, but not just to understand and to comprehend, but also to gain a skill that would allow me the opportunity to understand them, but also to help them and to guide them. And that opened up my knowledge of not just addiction, but it opened up my knowledge of these other things as well: anxiety, depression, ultimately suicide. And so, as I pursued that doctorate and got a greater understanding of it, it just really within me kind of built up a greater passion to help people. And part of what I do as a minister, as a pastor, is help people. But I wanted to be able to take the spiritual, and I wanted to be able to take the scientific, and then find the practical in between. And that's what we have the opportunity of doing here at Watershed, is to be able to take those two things and to incorporate the practical side of counseling, the practical execution steps, but also while weaving in some of these scriptures and these passages that inspire us and challenge us to find hope, to find help, to find peace, comfort, those kinds of things. So ever since really COVID, major need for mental health in our society today, and so I built a practice within our church ministry, and then still serving in certainly other capacities there as well. But then as Larissa really was feeling compelled or convicted about mental health, specifically in adolescence in our community. She asked if I would be interested, and I said absolutely. So I'd love to come in and help and get this thing started. So yeah, so I've been doing this for a few years now, and really have enjoyed every step of the way. So my specialty is really a handful of things. The things that I feel like are my niche, what I'm maybe good at. Um, First is marriage. I love being able to, whether it's premarital, before the wedding, or we all need a little help, throughout our marriages, and so even postmarital, doing marital conflict resolution. Improving communication skills. So I really enjoy working with couples. But I also have a niche when it comes to working with depression and anxiety. Those are two that I work with quite often. And within that, obviously, are some subcategories of things like suicide. And so I've become assist certified, which is essentially, if you were to call the suicide hotline, that's what they've been certified as. And so I've gone through that training as well, and work with local first responders, sheriff's office, police department, those kinds of things. Not only working with the officers, but also working at times on the civilian side of things, where I get the opportunity to be sometimes in the aftermath of suicide with family. And other times I get to actually be a part of interventions of suicide as well. And so those are kind of my niches. Of course, the couples, that's adults. But within, anxiety, worry, depression, those kinds of things, it's a very broad category of ages. And so I work largely with adolescents in those categories, but I work with some adults with those as well. So those are kind of where my passions are.